Something happens to you when you leave this town. The farther away, the hazier it all gets. But me, I never left. I remember all of it.
Drink responsibly. It's not a good way to start anything. Drink responsibly. Okay, so you might hear some birds in the background being a bitch. They don't understand the importance of recording. Oh, today's review has something to do with something that bothered me for a long time. Just like those birds. Something bothered me for a long time. After I watched the movie It Chapter 1, I loved It Chapter 1, but not for the fact of it being a scary movie or anything like that. I loved it for being a coming-of-age tale for kids.
Hey, Angela's pregnant.
Are you really?
Yes.
I mean, it is a great friendship coming-of-age movie. It's one of the best for, like, kids growing up and understanding and learning. It was fantastic. It outbeat Goonies for me. Goonies was the quintessential one. Now, that and, you know, Stand By Me? Yeah, Stand By Me. That one and Stand By Me. You're going to hear some gurgling from my belly. That's because I'm drinking before I ate today. So you have It Chapter 1. Fantastic movie for growing kids, for the coming of age kids, for a rated R movie. And then all of a sudden you get It Chapter 2. Chapter 2 was supposed to be fantastic. It was supposed to be amazing. But I saw it twice in theaters and I was like, why? Why is it so bad? Why was it not good? Why was it so different? And then I watched it again on DVD or Blu-ray. I was like, why? What's wrong here? And then I watched the director, Alex Muschietti? Andy Muschietti, not Alex. Andy Muschietti. I watched his commentary. And everything makes sense.
And everything makes sense.
It makes sense, and I want to explain to you why the movie is actually fantastic in a bad way. That doesn't make any sense, but let me explain. So, first of all, the movie, if I went through the entire plot of the movie, breaking it down, I can tell you right now, this would be a long video because there's a lot of plot devices that don't go anywhere, or so it seems. So I think the director was too ambitious. And here's what happened. From his own words, I watched the director's commentary, and it is interesting. He put so much thought and development in every scene. Every little moment means something. Every little shot is something that he did previously and is something that he's doing for the characters. And that's amazing. It's fantastic. He fantastically thought out every single shot in this movie. But why was it so bad? The source material was bad. For example, there is a scene in there where it's, what is it? It's called the stupid thing. What is that? What is it? It's the ritual of like Chun, who. First of all, okay, if it was a real ritual, I'll give you that. I mean, it's like, okay, you named it. It was named back in like the whatever times. Like, that was stupid. But if you named this Stephen King, now keep in mind, Stephen King rules. I have that shirt on. If you name this Stephen King, that is stupid. Stupid name. The Ritual of Chun? Chun? Couldn't we get anything better? Alright, so we're moving on to this. Ritual of Chun. So originally, in the book, the Ritual of Chun involved sticking your tongue out, touching tongues, and making someone laugh with a joke. At least in this movie, it involved them finding a token from what scared them the most as a kid when they broke away from each other, when they had this moment of falling out. Whatever scared them the most, you take that token and you go and burn it, and then you burn it, and then you're not afraid of it anymore. And it's what, when I say it, I'm talking about it, the Pennywise. You're not afraid of Pennywise anymore, and so it will come down, be sucked into this stupid little leather basket, and then you pop the lid on top of it and you captured it forever. That was the what they changed for the movie, which is a fantastic change comparatively. If you compare everything to the novel, if you compare everything they did to the novel, they did fantastic fixing this novel. Fantastic. Now, the gripes you have are little things like, why is Pennywise in the very beginning killing that adult? That wasn't a kid. It was an adult. Now, if they tried to make it seem like maybe he was 18, you know? No, he wasn't 18. He was a 30-year-old guy. So, what the hell? Why did Pennywise just kill him? He's never killed anybody like that. In fact, in the book, and this is stated by Andy Machete, in the book, there's a line that was given by Billy, and he says, well, maybe Pennywise doesn't have to kill people to survive. Maybe it's something where he kills people because of what he's seen. Maybe he's mimicking what he's seen by this town. So he's mimicking human nature.
Pennywise.
The clown. We can't let it happen again.
So he's probably saw that happen, and he's like, oh, when I wake up, this is what I gotta do. It's interesting. It's an interesting concept. It's an interesting idea that, Stephen King put into his book, but then he was really high when writing it, and he just kind of went off on a giant turtle rampage. So, what happens? What happened to It Chapter 2? It Chapter 2 was an amalgam of just really bad ideas put together, all stitched together with like a, what is this kind of thing? And it worked. It works haphazardly. It works in a weird way. They made Richie gay, which was fantastic. Having this love with him and his good friend Eddie. But it also doesn't work. A lot of things don't work because you see little things like, okay, so they left Derry. Wait. In the end of It Chapter 1, you think that this ending when they're like, hey, we're going to be breaking away. You didn't know that this was the end of their friendship. Like, they never saw each other again. Why did they never see each other again? Nobody said, hey, I'm moving away. Hey, I'm doing this. Hey, I'm doing... No, nobody ever said that. That wasn't established. And then all of a sudden, apparently these people aren't friends for 27 years. They haven't been friends. They haven't hooked up. They haven't talked to each other. When I say hooked up, I just mean hanging out. I don't mean like they were all just getting together and, jerking each other off or, butt sex. I just meant, But moving on. So you have these people. Why didn't they hang out? Why they all went their separate ways and never talked to each other again? That doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make sense. Why? And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way, we're going to have, at the very beginning, we're going to have everybody call. Everybody's going to call, get a call by, I just lost his name in the movie. Give me a second. Maybe if I drink, it'll come back to me, because that's how alcohol works. Mike. Oh my God, alcohol works. This actually works, guys. Drink if you don't remember things. But okay, so you have Mike. Mike's calling everybody up. Somehow he found all of these famous people's phone numbers, which, I mean, right now, I dare you in the comments, post Justin Bieber's phone number. Post Taylor Swift's phone number. If you could go out there and get those people's phone numbers, how are you, like, come on. How did he get all of these famous rich people's phone numbers? I don't feel like that's really happening. Except, I mean, the other guy, Stanley, he easily got his phone number. He wasn't rich. He wasn't famous. He wasn't doing well. But moving on. So, you have these people who, they get a phone call, and it's like, who's this? I don't know a Mike. I don't know you, but they have felt some kind of weird emotional thing attached to it. Or not even emotional thing. They were like, oh no. Like they had some kind of emotion that swelled up inside of them. And so they decide to like crash a car, or this bad thing happens, or they throw up and they ruin their show. Like, huh? And then you show up at the location to this random person who called you that you do not remember until you get to Derry, and then you remember. I can tell you right now, I've had many ex-friends. I say ex-friends, people who've like I haven't kept in contact with since high school. And that's high school. That's not like, you know, these kids were like junior high. They were like well, maybe high school. Yeah, high school. So that's high school. And they were like, hey, I'm back in the town. We should hang out. I was like, oh yeah, definitely. I never showed up, and literally I was 5 miles down the road. I never showed up. What does that say about me? Huh. Do I care? I think there's a little bit of like caring. Right here next to the rules. Where's Stephen King? Right next to the king. There's a little bit of caring right there. But no, I don't. No. If this person sees this review, they might know that, hey, as an adult, you just got to move on. You're my Pennywise. I'm moving on. Sticking away from you for 27 years. You called me in 15. It has to be 27. We have to wait till we're 40. Okay. 40's not too long from now, so call me soon. We might hang out. And then I might belittle you until you become a little baby, and then pull your heart out and squeeze it. Yeah. It worked for the movie.
Estaba pasando en Wall Street, que parecía que estaba en aumento, y por lo que vemos bajó.
Muy bien. Bueno,
Volvemos.
dale.
That little fact worked for the movie. But yeah, okay, so they show up and they're like, hey guys, we're friends. And then they all start being friends again. What the fuck is this fly doing? There's a little gnat or something in the house. Where is it? Where is it? Oh my god. I gotta kill this thing. Now I gotta bug bomb the whole house. I hate bugs. Okay, so they get there, and then it is kind of edited all crazy. Now I will give it to them. It is beautifully shot. There is some well placed shots during the sequences where they're sitting there having conversation, and everything is supposed to be wides of a whole bunch of them because they're all getting to be friends again. It's beautifully shot. And then when it starts getting into the horror, talking about Pennywise, they do wides, but it's all like centered just on them, and it's a big wide to show them isolated in their own little, fear world kind of thing. And you're like, oh, that's good. That's really cool. But then it turns into a hodgepodge of, we gotta leave. Why aren't we leaving? All of a sudden we care about each other because of something that we experienced, and we were only friends for like 3 months in our entire 40-year life. Yeah, we went through some weird shit, and I'm gonna say this. There's times where you can go through one traumatic experience, and because you went through that traumatic experience, friends will stay friends forever because you're like, hey, we went through this. And you're like, yeah, we did. And you become friends, and you stay friends for the longest time because, hey, you guys went through something horrible. I understand that. But these people were not like, yeah, we're friends. They were like, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, I remember this. Oh, remember that. No, hold on. Why isn't Mike like completely annoyed with these people? All of you are rich. All of you are rich, and I'm still living in fucking Derry. Why isn't he doing that? Why isn't he pissed? Hey, I'm in fucking Derry. I haven't left. I live in a fucking library. Really cool loft of the library. But still, I live in a library. You guys live in mansions. Except Stanley, he's dead.
The hottest guy in the tanning bed. Will I ever see him again? Probably not. Am I pissed about it? Hell yes, I am. I'm actually.
And I give the writer / director so much props for saving Stanley's character. Stanley used to kill himself, and he was a wuss. And he just killed himself. He was afraid to go. But they saved his character. They gave it a reason. They gave it a purpose. By killing himself, he united everybody. But here's how that could have been fixed. First of all, everybody remembered everything from the first movie. That's why they show up to fight back on it. But here's the thing. They first are like, no, I'm not going. Oh, no, sorry, Mike. But then Mike tells him, Stanley's dead. And then they're like, oh. And then he lies and says, it got Stanley. So now they're united because they're like, oh shit, he got one of us. So Mike lies to him, and then everybody thinks that he got one of us. But then you find out later that Stanley did that to unite them, to bring them all together. Because if he wouldn't have done that, they wouldn't have got there. They wouldn't have done that. So he made Mike do that lie. Like, that would have been so much stronger. That would have united them. That would have given us a less stupid reasoning to get in there. Like, you get this stupid reasoning of, I don't remember anything. Oh, now I start to remember things. I don't remember anything. Why am I even here? Exactly. Why are we here? Like, that whole beginning. Now, keep in mind, when I first watched this movie, I was like, this is stupid, but I'm still on board. The first movie did well. The first movie was awesome. I'm still on board. Fix this. And you get some really cool sequences. Like, I really like the Pennywise killing the little girl downstairs underneath the bleachers. That was fantastic because I like the jump there because she's like, you didn't say 3, and then he kills her there. So it's her who created the, you felt like there was gonna be more of a conversation between her and Pennywise, but then he just jump scare, and it worked. It was a creepy scene. The kid acted fantastic. Ben Skarsgård acted fantastic. I mean, it was well done. And then you get stupid. Oh, it's a rated R movie. Okay, rated R movie. Why do we get a troll from Harry Potter? I have no idea. Of course, the director was like, "Oh, this is so scary. Look at that. Look at how scary that is."
Hello. Please.
Okay. All right, Andy. I liked your movie, Mama. Even though she looked meh. But the thing is, it was still creepy enough. It was still like a ghost that was charging at you. It was still crazy weird. When you have a CGI troll, fat woman troll thing running at you, it's not really scary. The leper and everything, it was never scary. I never feared the leper. I mean, I'm happy that he tried to go for these cool little quirky, crazy looking things, but they just did not work in a horror level. No, I don't. But then again, I don't really think the Conjuring movies had like a scary looking anything. The Nun. Oh no. This or oh that. None of those scared me either. Yep. Let me see. When you drink, you start to draw blanks. You're like, hey, why you? I know what I'm gonna say. Not anymore. Whew. Why is Jessica Chastain so ugly in this movie? She's an attractive woman. You know, she is attractive. I thought in Mama she had this like this pretty attractive nature to her, like punk rock goth thing. Here you're like either I don't know. She was never shot. They made the young girl in It Chapter 1 have this like dreamy dreamscape about her. I'm not saying she was attractive in there or it was like, oh look, it was supposed to show that these little kids were experiencing this love, this attraction, this romance, and they shot it in this way to not necessarily make her sexy, but make her like in a beautiful, cutesy fashion as a kid. And you're like, that was really cool. Why aren't you doing that for Jessica Chastain? Because you're still adding that love story between her and Ben, and it's supposed to show that her and Bill just kind of fell off, and that love story is not going to work. But you didn't shoot Jessica Chastain with this lovey-dovey, almost, I guess, fantasy-like aura, like you did the other girl in the first one, which didn't work because it made Jessica Chastain seem so aged and ugly.
For 27 years, I dreamt of you. I craved you. I missed you.
Now keep in mind, he didn't do that for the girl. I forget her name because I'm drinking. I forget her name, but yeah. But he didn't do that for her in It Chapter 2 as well. So, I mean, it kind of works both ways. But he really did that in the first movie. And so when you go from the first movie to the second movie, you're like, oh, she's young and vibrant. And you add that kind of flair to the filmmaking. You're like, oh, okay, young, vibrant, all this stuff. Look, young romance. You're like, oh, that's so cute. Look at these kids. And then what happens? Boom. Now you're 40. Now you say ugly. Now you have no romance. Now you're ugly as hell. Now you just no youthful spirit whatsoever. Maybe I'm cynical. Maybe I'm cynical because I'm getting older.
We need to finish it. For good.
I've seen all of us die. It consumes us from the inside until we don't have a choice anymore.
let's start talking about Henry Bowers and his involvement and his ruining of Henry Bowers in the movie. So Henry Bowers' point in the book was to kill Mike. He killed Mike. That was crippling. It hurt them horribly. What happened in the movie? Nothing. We built him up for over an hour plus. Hour and 20 minutes, and then nothing happens with Henry Bowers in any form or fashion. He literally comes on screen to die. In a movie, you do not have to always have characters that affect the story in any way, but you can have fun characters and you're like, oh, okay, that was just a character. Oh, okay. But when you build them up for so long and then nothing happens with them and they just die, that is not good. That is not, it was a waste of Henry Bowers. Complete waste. Why did you do this? Why? There was no point. There was no reason. Stop it. Really, stop it. Why? It was pointless. It was stupid. At least you could have fixed it by make it to where Henry almost kills Mike, where like he even has a scar. You're like, ah, and then oh no, there's a scar there. He almost died. The knife is halfway in, and somebody has to save him. So you get the Henry Bowers scar. That would even slightly saved the purpose, but it wouldn't have fixed it at all. He needed to do something that crippled them, that slowed them down, that maybe half of the people were going in to go fight Pennywise, and then what happens? Henry Bowers shows up and stops Richie and Eddie. It stops Richie and Eddie and Mike from going in, and so they have to do battle with Henry Bowers, and so that makes the other Ben, Jessica Chastain and Billy. She has a name in the movie. What's her name? Why did I just lose her name? But you have 3 of them going in, 3 of them out. And you're like, oh no, what do you do? It's, oh no, the battle begins and it stops them. And they're like, oh no, we're broken apart. What are we gonna do? Because Billy's just head over heels. He's walking in. And oh no, we gotta stop him. Beth. What's her name, Beth?
You lied. And I died. You lied. And I died.
Bethany, you still my girl? I'm gonna say no. That's not it. But I'm also gonna be sad. Terrible at this. But why? Why ruin this? You ruined a character. Somebody that you've built up, and you even build up that he's still alive. There is purpose here. You ruined it. Now, I'm not saying that the director, did anything wrong. The director is a fantastic director. He's a fantastic director. His source material was just crap. And he tried so hard to put it all together in one last movie. And there was so much information, so much stuff. And it didn't work. It didn't work entirely. But it did work. Because if you compare it to to the book It, this was an immensely better movie. Immensely better story. Immensely better all the way around. But was it fantastic? Was it the first chapter 1? No, it was not chapter 1. And there was a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes were made story-wise. Presentation-wise, it was a fantastic movie. Fantastic. Anybody who says this is the worst movie I've ever seen. You don't watch movies. You've never seen a movie. I'll even give it this. You've never watched, like, blockbuster movies. Because, did you watch Jonah Hex? That movie was fucking terrible. Anybody who likes... Did you watch The Seventh Son? That movie was fucking terrible. I should review that movie next. That movie was absolutely terrible. I hated it every bit of the way. You keep in mind, I watched some shitty movies. Hence Battle of the Worst. And stuff, okay? I watched some really terrible movies. Really, really bad movies. We've watched so many. You watch this channel, you'll see some terrible freaking movies. But why do people say this movie was so terrible? Then you've only watched like 3 movies in your lifetime. You haven't watched Warriors of Virtue. You haven't watched any movie that happened ever, because you would know that these movies get terrible as shit. There is some really terrible movies out there. You only watch like the greatest movies ever if this was a terrible movie for you. This movie was disappointing. There's a difference between a terrible movie and disappointing. 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 Yeah.
Dies here ever really dies.
That's how I want to say it. This was just disappointing, okay? Because the first one was so great. They didn't expect to make a sequel. They made it to where this was the end. In It Chapter 1, until they released It Chapter 1, and they were like, oh, look, oh, they want to make a sequel. And they want to pump $70 million into it. Yay. Until they got that, they really kind of ended it. They were like, oh, here's what we made. There we go. So you can't fault them for trying so hard to fix things. Now, I will give them this. There's certain scenes, they didn't understand a lot of ways of creating things for the kids again. I feel like it was rushed. When you have characters building scenes with like the kids, they just had like the kids down there hanging out in the clubhouse. You need to give them a goal. You need to give them some kind of goal in some way. You have them all building the clubhouse together, or even just decorating the clubhouse. That way you have like Eddie, he's like, hey, we're gonna put the hammock over here. And then you'll have Richie go, wait, why are you the in charge? And he's like, listen, Eddie's like, listen, I'm the foreman, okay? I'm the foreman. You know what the foreman does? He tells things and he's like, oh, foreman, it's like more foreskin. And then he's like, oh, right, Stanley, you know all about that, huh? And because Stanley was gonna get circumcised. So you have like this building of, look, there's like something you can have, something you can embrace. You can talk about things. There's something to talk about instead of having Eddie grab a fucking paddle ball and he's like, hey, you want to play paddle ball, Stanley? Hey, you want to play paddle ball? Blah, blah, blah. And you're like, this is so, like, it feels forced. The conversation feels forced. It doesn't work. You need to have them having a goal. You need to have the conversation have a goal, so that way you can actually write properly for these characters instead of just, you have Richie just sitting there reading a magazine. You have the girl sitting there just smoking. You have Ben over here hammering a nail into a piece of wood for no freaking reason. You just have these moments where you're like, oh, I don't know what they're gonna say because there's no goal. But that being said, everybody, the movie is decent. Don't rip on it. I highly respect, I love this director. I love his vision. I understand his visions. And I highly respect him. He is an amazing director. The source material is where the problem was. The source material. And how they wanted to correct the source material and fix the source material, but yet they still wanted to, anybody who was fans of the source material, they wanted to still give them some kind of, thumbs up, some kind of nod. And by doing that, you kind of ruin the storytelling aspect of the movie, especially when you have so much of a movie to explain. The first half of the movie, you did not have so much to explain. It was really a character building movie, and it worked. But the second half, there was so much outlandish craziness of the book that it's like, okay, to condense this, but yet still give people what they want. There's a lot of story there, but at the same time, there's not. They needed to establish the characters properly as well, but they didn't. They were like, oh, well, you already watched the first movie. We know this, but we don't know who they are. I'm completely different than who I was in high school. I'm 100% different, and I'm not 40 yet. That's the thing. They assumed that, hey, look, these characters are the same, but they're not. So we needed the time to build on those characters. We needed that time, but we didn't get it. And I feel like that was detrimental to the film in the very beginning. That was detrimental in the very beginning for us establishing this camaraderie, this friendship. Just because they were friends when they met each other again, they were like, oh yeah, we're acquaintances. You're acquaintances. You're not friends. You're not best friends. You haven't talked to each other in 27 fucking years. So I think there's little minor nitpicks like that. Well, that's a major nitpick. There's a lot of major nitpicks, but the film was presented fantastically. So shut the fuck up about insulting it so bad. At least give the director his due. It was presented amazingly, especially for a shitty book story. There is some really stupid shit in that book. And if you don't believe me, you go look it up. You go find out that there's all the kids have sex with Beth?
Two friends studying. Will they kiss?
No.
All the kids have sex with her to get out of the once they defeat it in the when they're kids, they all have a orgy, gangbang, taking turns having sex with her because they need to unite each other. That's stupid. And then it's a whole chapter talking about each one of them having sex and what it feels like. And then, oh, look, Ben has a big dick. Oh, she's really interested in this. The dumbest shit. Then you find out that that it is a alien from space, and what happens, the whole world is on the back of a freaking turtle, and the turtle teaches them how to kill Pennywise. It's stupid. And I'm not getting into the really stupid stuff. This is just the big stupid stuff. And I'm not going to get into it too much, but anybody who thinks that they could take that kind of story and make a better story than what they did, I'll go ahead and try. I give them props for what they did. I give them props for how they did it. I think that they could have fixed it with minor little nitpicks and minor little tweaks. They could have fixed it. But I'll give them props. They did really well for the source material. Well, everybody, thank you for this very long review. And this was supposed to be a quick review of It Chapter 2, but I had a lot to say. So I have more I could even say, but I'm not going to bore you too long. I'm not going to make this an hour and a half long review. I'm just going to let this be. There's high respect here. High respect for this director. Give him yours. Go buy this movie. You're not saying that you enjoy everything about it, but what you're saying is, I support this filmmaker. I want to see him do more. He's doing The Flash, and he's also doing, he might be doing a Guardians of the Galaxy or Attack on Titan. He's going to do, not a Guardians of the Galaxy, Master of the Universe, and Attack on Titan. So I'm excited to see his next work. I'm excited to see this stuff. Everybody, thank you so much. I know I don't say this, but like, subscribe, share around if this is the kind of stuff you like. We don't do this for a whole bunch of views. We do this because this is what we like doing. So if you like seeing any of this, you know, please support the channel by just subscribe. You'll see a few more of these. Thank you.